as we've been talking about with Thunderbolts, the miserable opening weekend, the name change to the New Avengers, which they were desperately hoping would get more people invested. We now finally have the second weekend numbers. And although like a lot of people predicted with such a horrifically low start, it probably wasn't going to have the same drop off as some of these other Marvel movies that we've seen. And it is I think, and I don't think it's a good movie. I do think it's not as bad as Captain America Brave New World, but I expected it to have a slightly better hold than that movie as well. And it did have a better hold. Unfortunately, when you factor in inflation, all these other things, it's still one of the worst second weekends in the history of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And even though on Sunday news came out that it was at 33 million, that is not true. It actually comes in a little bit lower at $32 million. And because of that, after 2 weekends, the worldwide box office sitting at $271 million. And we saw this media blitz for Thunderbolts. Oh, it's just going to have a great hold. It's going to be phenomenal. It's going to be spectacular. Look at these numbers. Jay, do you know what Captain America Brave New World, which is now even admitted by everyone, was a massive bomb at the box office for Marvel? You know what that was at through 2 weekends?
No, please enlighten.
About $290 million. $289.4 million worldwide after 2 weekends for Captain America Brave New World. So as we sit here, Thunderbolts is still tracking about $20 million behind Captain America Brave New World at its same time. Right, at the same time, which means it's probably going to end up in that same range. Yeah. 415, 420, plus or minus, depending on how well it does hold over the next few weeks. But at its max, this is a thing that might crack the $440 million mark, maybe potentially, and probably not even that. So you have yet another movie that they spent $180 million on production budget, $100 million marketing, meaning this movie needs to hit the $560 to $600 million range just to break even. That is another loser for Marvel in the lead up to what is supposed to be their next big event. I mean, despite the media's best efforts to pretend like this was a solid opening weekend and a solid second weekend, when you actually look at these numbers and you look at where it's tracking, you realize this movie is fucked, just like we've seen from all these other movies.
So do you think Snow White had an issue with causing this box office dilemma with the Thunderbolts? I'm being sarcastic. Of course it didn't. But yeah, I don't even know if I would call this like superhero fatigue. It's just like you've pushed out an audience. You've made it unenjoyable. You've tried to push homework on people to invest. And when you're introducing lesser known characters, you really have to knock it out of the park for people to have interest in the films. I guess they were hoping that with the name Avengers, it might spark something where people might show up and just be like, oh, well, we're changing the game. All right, I want to be invested. But again, at the end of the day, people just want to go and sit on a seat and just be entertained. This isn't like the first three phases where a lot of people were invested. That's why I think Captain Marvel did so well, because people were very invested in this end story. The story was coming to an end from Iron Man to Endgame. So everybody wanted to see. And it seems like they're still trying to rely on that type of investment from people, but it's just been way too much trash and embarrassment for the MCU for people to care anymore. Knowing that a film that if you're really not excited to see a film and knowing that it'll be on streaming in 3 months, what's the point in spending all the money and going? That's where I'm at for a lot of these things. So I don't know if that played a part in it, but it might have.
Well, and I also just think in general, these characters specifically, we're past the point where Marvel can just put out like a random movie with characters that might not be like the top build, characters or whatever, but because of investment in the story, because of all those other things, people will show up and go to it. That's just not the case anymore because they've proven that they're putting out dog shit. And I do think that Thunderbolts is better than, things like The Marvels or Captain America Brave New World. I wouldn't put it as a good movie. And I think there's some very frustrating things about it, especially the way that it ends and the fact that they slide the New Avengers bullshit in there at the very end. People do not care.
Exactly.
And despite the medias and some of the reporters on this, their best efforts to convince people that Well, guys, even though it had like the second worst opening weekend we've ever seen when you adjust for inflation, it had a middle of the range hold for a Marvel movie.
Yeah.
So that's impressive, guys. It's like, is it $32 million second weekend? Captain America Brave New World had like a $29 or $30 million second weekend. So it's close to on par with that. Internationally, it's it's making significantly less than Shang-Chi or Eternals did internationally at this point in its run. Like, what are we fucking talking about?
Yeah, exactly. It's
like the desire for the media to paint this as some massive success and was going to just have such a great hold because of great word of mouth, not reality.
yeah, no, it's this seeing the spin from like the Snow White stuff too. It's just like, my gosh, man, people are not as dumb as they think they are. So,
and I do think by the end of it all, this will creep up to a little bit above where Brave New World finished. But it has a significant, like Brave New World with that opening weekend with Memorial, it has significant head start. And that's where we are. The two big movies leading up to Fantastic Four, even this one teasing Fantastic Four, are both of them probably going to crack a little bit over $400 million. Both of them are going to lose money, and both of them have not really generated any interest in the future. I see Ethereal Dream says, yes, Thunderbolts passed its production cost. Yeah, you're one of those dumb, retarded fucking queers who doesn't understand how the movie industry works and how the box office works. Like that's who you are. And that's the way the media is framing these things. It's especially specifically driven towards low IQ, dumb fuck, mouth droolers like you, right? You people who will sit there and be like, oh, it only costs $180 and it made $271 million already. That means it's made money. No, you dumb bitch. First of all, $180 million production cost, $100 million in marketing. So they got $280 million wrapped up in this. They only get about half of the money back from the box office. What do you think? Theaters just sit there and, get fucked in the ass by the studios and don't get any money back? The studios take half of that money. The theaters get the other half. You dumb cock-sucking bitch. What the fuck are you talking about? Enjoy the negative grift, guys. I'm out. Yeah, you should get out because you're too fucking stupid to be here. You're too fucking retarded. As I lay out to you specifically all of what these numbers are telling us, all of where it's at right now and where it's headed. Enjoy the negative grift, guys. I'm out. Bye, bitch. Nobody fucking wants your dumb ass here. IQ must be this high to get on the fucking ride. And you're down here. I'm stepping on you down here, bitch. Like, how more clear could I possibly have been describing the costs that are sunk into this versus what they've gotten and what they'll get back from the theaters?
just reporting the facts, man.
Don't Stay in your fucking dream world. You dumb fuck. Maybe, you know what? Maybe you actually really love this movie, Ethereal Dreams, probably because it's all about people who are depressed and want to kill themselves. So it really relates to you. Maybe that's why you're begging for it to be so positive, because you're like, that's me. I often feel like giving up. And sometimes all I need is a fucking hug from somebody that cares about me. Yeah, that's who this movie's fucking made for. Guess what? Ain't nobody coming to hug you. So might as well get it over with.